Hi there, I'm Elizabeth and welcome back to the farm. Today we are going to talk about crating up tulips. And honestly, I'm going to try something new that is totally out of my comfort zone. And actually, who am I kidding? This whole experience, this whole YouTube experience is out of my comfort zone, but we're going to try it anyway. So the plan is I'm going to try to do the whole video and not edit it. There will be some times when I need to move location and then I might turn it off and turn it back on again. But my plan is to see if I can do this whole thing without editing it. Mostly because I haven't been able to figure out how to do that very smoothly. It takes me hours to edit a 10-minute video. And then also I just want to see if I can do it. You have to bear with me. I've got still a little bit of a in my throat from this past winter's bout of bronchitis. It wasn't a big deal. I just have this hang on and a cough. So I might do that a couple of times on the video. And basically, I think I have everything here, but we'll see. So let me give you a little recap. Like I said, my name's Elizabeth. I have a flower farm here in in Northwest Montana, Zone 4B, where the first real warm weather where we can really start our growing is usually the last part of May, first part of June, and we often have freezes the last part of August, first part of September. As a matter of fact, I have this saying that goes something like, every day that we don't have a freeze in September is a gift. So that is our growing zone, and I am up for the challenge. I've been flower farming for 7 years, and this year I decided I was going to do something a little bit different and just film along with all the things that I'm doing anyway, and then maybe develop a little bit of community. My thought is, because I'm older, I'm 60-something years old, and I started my flower farm when I was 58, that maybe there are other women, folks, doesn't have to be women, I just have to be one. There's some other folks out there that might be interested in starting a flower farm, but they're a little bit older or they're a little bit pudgy like me, and they're not exactly sure how to go about it, or they're not even sure if they can go about it. And that's why I started this, because I've done it. I'm old and fat. You can do it too if this is something you really want to do. Okay, so today we're going to talk about tulips. Oh, I also have a wild, she's not wild, but she's a black lab who tends to talk a lot around this time of day because she feels like anytime after noon, it's time to have dinner. So it's not noon and it's not quite dinner time, but she might make an appearance on the video and talk to us about how she's so abused because she hasn't had dinner yet. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about tulips in crates. The first thing I'm going to do is talk a little bit about the crate itself. This actually is a tulip crate. So I've been growing tulips for about 7 years. And when you order a bunch of tulips from different suppliers, they come in a big crate like this. This usually holds 500 tulips. Well, it does hold 500 tulip bulbs. They come in the fall like this, and they come in a box like this. I don't know if y'all can see this. Hang on, let me turn it around so you can see a little bit. This is a perfect example. I have pulled bulbs out of this crate already, but you see how full it is? This is a perfect example. So this is a tulip crate. You don't have to buy 500 tulips to get a crate like this. Some of the big box stores have them. Some of the smaller nurseries have them. At one time, I think I could have gotten as many as I wanted to for about $5 a piece, which isn't a great price, but at the same time, I've used these for years. They're wonderful. I use them all the time. I use them in the back of the car to keep things organized. I use them to haul groceries in. They're just really a great thing to have, and I have a lot of these around now. Anyway, so this is what we're going to put our tulip bulbs in today. So the reason we're doing this at all is because sometimes you're not always able to put your tulip bulbs out, plant your tulip bulbs out in the fall. And if that happens to you, or if you have another reason to delay planting your tulip bulbs, all is not lost. So what I'm doing this time is typically, well, let me back up. I also grow tulips hydroponically through the winter. And we've gotten to that point now where some of the tulip bulbs, this crate in particular, it's my last crate of 9 crates that I grew this winter. The tulip bulbs themselves have don't look very good. Some of them are compromised. Some of them have quite a bit of mold on them. The ones that have mold on them, I have used in the past, but these are pretty old now. They've been in cooling here in my garage since November, so they really need to be used. But I don't think that that water, growing them hydroponically, is the perfect medium for growing these tulip bulbs. So I decided to go ahead and pot them up in crates. Now, just to let you know, tulip bulbs really need a long period of cooling time, at least 40 degrees or lower for a period of 12 to 16 weeks. If you don't have that type of environment through the winter time, then the tulips will not form a bulb. Well, that's not true. They won't form a bloom. And sometimes all you'll have is leaves, or when the bloom stalk comes up out of the tulip bulb, it will just be a very short tulip. So to have really nice long stems, you need to have tulip bulbs in the ground, or at least having some kind of storage area that is 40 degrees or less, or around that temperature, 40 degrees-ish, for 12 to 16 weeks. Otherwise, you're just not really going to get a very nicely stemmed tulip. These have been in my garage, like I said, since the end of November. They've had great, perfect cooling time. And so now I'm going to go ahead and pot them up into this crate. So the other thing about tulips, which is pretty amazing, is that if you're going to use tulips for a cut tulip like I am, the bulb itself has everything it needs in it except for sun and warmth and water, but it has all the fertilizer it needs in this bulb to grow a beautiful flower. So you don't need any fancy soil. You don't need any fancy like fertilizers to ensure that you're going to have a well-formed tulip flower. So what we're going to do for this is just add ProMix. Now, ProMix is a soil-less based medium, I almost said soil, a soilless based medium that doesn't have a lot of nutrients in it. So it doesn't have any fertilizer in it. I know some soils that you can use, potting soils like Miracle Grow, have a bunch of nutrients in it already and fertilizers in the soil already, so that you can pot up your plants and then they will be fed. But the ProMix that I'm going to use today does not have that. It really is a nutrient-free soil. I'm gonna move over here and see. I'm gonna move to see if y'all can see me doing this, loading this tray up. Hang on just a second. Let me just move this over here. Beep, beep. Beep, beep. Okay. Let me check and see if you can see me. Whoops. So one of the other things is that I'm filming in my garage today. It's really nice, pretty nice and warm out. It's 55, but the wind is really blowing. It's just whipping out of the south. So instead of contending with that, I just thought we would film in the garage. The light isn't amazing, and it's really messy in here. We have not gotten in here. It's, kind of messy from the winter. What we need to do, what we do every spring usually, is open up the garage doors, pull everything out, sweep everything down, throw out stuff that kind of collected over the winter, and put the things that we need back. But we haven't done that yet. It's coming, but we haven't done it yet. Okay, so this is ProMix. Like I said before, it's a soilless system, or soilless medium. All I'm going to do is just put a nice layer, maybe 2 inches, down in the bottom of the crate. Okie doke. Okay, so the interesting thing about tulips is that you don't need a lot of soil to begin with. Okay, so we don't need a lot of soil in the bottom of the crate. We only need a couple of inches. Tulips really don't have a deep rooting system. They really need more soil from the bulb itself. Um, um, we need to add more soil from the bulb up so that they can push this nice long stem. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and nestle all the bulbs in the crate, and then we'll add as much soil, there's not much left, as much soil as I have available to load on top of the bulb. So if the bulb's down here and we have this much soil on top, the stem itself pushes until it reaches the light, and you have this really nice long stemmed flower. So here we go. It doesn't matter. Yes, you're going to lose some soil through the slats of the crate, but that's okay, because going forward, even though the tulips don't push their roots very deep, they do spread out. So when this is all finished and the tulips are all harvested, this will be a big mat of roots, and um, the soil won't drip out, won't fall out of the crates for much longer. Okay, so I have had this past winter a really wicked case of tulip fingers, which is kind of gross. It is I think a fungus. I don't know. It's some kind of a contact dermatitis that you get, which happens. The tulips themselves give you some kind of a contact dermatitis where you actually develop um, um, pustules. That's so gross, on your fingers, and then those pustules actually go on to open and split and all that stuff, and it usually occurs between the nail and your fingernail bed. It's really uncomfortable. I never really did have the pustules, but it looked like I had been cut, had thousands of paper cuts between my fingernail and my nail bed. Really uncomfortable, bled sometimes. It was not very pleasant. So I've tried to use my no, they're not vinyl, my cloth gloves, but I still was exposed, and so I still had issues with tulip finger. So I've been using these vinyl gloves, and so far it works out pretty well. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, going to nestle each of these bulbs one by one in the crates. I did try an experiment this year, last fall actually, where you just tipped the bulbs into the place where you're going to grow them and just let them fall helter-skelter. As long as they weren't on top of each other, just kind of spread them out so that they weren't standing right next to each other, shoulder to shoulder, just to see if that was going to produce a nice long stemmed tulip. Of course, the verdict is out on that yet, because the tulips have just started growing and I haven't harvested any bulbs. So we'll see. If that works, that is going to be revolutionary as far as time goes, because you'll see this takes quite a bit of time, taking each bulb, nestling it into the soil, take the next bulb, nestle it into the soil, shoulder to shoulder, tips up, flat side down. It's a great concept, but it takes forever. If I can just tip all of them in and cover them up with soil, that'll be amazing. But I don't want to do that with every single tulip until I know for sure that it's going to work. So follow along with me, and here we go. So along the lines of not editing, I might speed this part up, because it's kind of boring watching me do this over and over and over again. So, and I'm going to bring you guys over here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so first of all, tulip, tip. This is where the leaves come and the bloom comes. This is where the bottom portion, that's where the stem, the roots come. Just take that and nestle it right in, shoulder to shoulder, one right after the other. And I'll show you what this looks like in a second. There we go. Oops. So tulips really are pretty amazing. I know I've said this over and over again, but they actually will perennialize, which means that if you leave them in the ground, they will shoot up tulips the next year as well. However, my understanding is, and I haven't done this big research on this, so it might not be correct, but my understanding is that some of the big tulip producers in Holland are producing tulips more for the cut flower business. And the difference is because those who are using tulips in a landscape leave the tulips in place, and they grow up from the bulb, they flower, and then they die in the same area. with no disturbance, and they do come back year after year. However, the cut flower industry has used tulips as a one and done. In other words, you grow the tulip out, you plant them in the fall, you grow the tulip out in the spring, and then you pull the whole thing out, bulb and all, and use that one stem of flower, and you cut the bulb off, you throw the bulb away, and then that's it. So I don't, apparently there's some sacrifice. You have to sacrifice stem length or something to allow flowers to be more one and done and not be able to be perennialized, because that is a certain characteristic of the bulbs that's bred into the flower. But I don't know. I just heard about that recently. I haven't done any research into it, so I don't really know for sure. Okay, before I get too much further, let me bring you guys over here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so do you see one bulb nestled right next to its neighbor, just like that? See? Here, let me get you up on the tripod. Okay, so you see how this is going? One bulb. No, okay, here's a good example. So you see this bulb? Right there's a little bit of a scarring right there. Typically, if this bulb were firm, I would go ahead and use it, but look at that. It's all squishy. Oh, and there's a little bit, oh, look at that nastiness. So this bulb is not viable. See that? You see how that's got, yeah. So I don't know if you guys could see that, but when I squeezed it, a little bit of a puff of fungus or something came out of it. And so this mold, no, probably not mold. Anyway, probably some kind of fungus. So this bulb is not viable. So I'm going to push it to the side. So bulbs that are viable, even if they're discolored, they are usually firm. Like this one's super firm. It doesn't give me any reason to think that it's not going to make a bloom. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of squeeze them and test them out as I plant them. So far, everything is great. So also, you see these jackets? I think I talked to you guys about this before. When you're growing tulips hydroponically, I myself try to pull these jackets off, because if I don't, then they eventually do come off on their own often, and then they just kind of muck the water up because they get inside they fall off, and the water tray, the hydroponic water, and they start to disintegrate, and they kind of make the water nasty. So it takes a few extra seconds, but I try to take the jacket off like that when I'm growing them hydroponically. Try to take them off before I plant them. But for this, there's another squishy one. But when I'm putting them, when I'm putting them in soil, that step is not necessary. So I don't know if doing this video without any edits is going to work. I mean, how many times can I drop the camera, or can the camera fall off there's another one. How many times can the camera fall off the tripod before it's just not funny anymore? And it's just kind of irritating. It's irritating me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I know I said I'm not going to do that much of a editing, and that's true, but I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. Oh, wait, let me show you this. Okay, see this? That little tip is already starting to grow. This tulip is really ready. This tulip's anxious. It's ready to get going and to grow, and it's already started a little tip leaf formation. Oops, squishy. Okay, I'm just going to speed this up. Okay, there we have it. I have about 100 or 105 tulips all nestled in here. And I came up with, how many do I have over here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that didn't make the cut. And I've got about 100 or 150 more tulips I have yet to crate up. So there you have it. I think we probably should talk real quick about why a person crates up tulips instead of just plants them in the flower bed. Hang on. Okay, so before we talk about why one would use a crate system of growing tulips instead of just planting them out in the landscape or planting them out in raised beds, however you're going to do it for your cut flower product, I do need to show you how we just add the medium or the soil to the top of the tulips bulbs that are all sitting here. See, they're all in a row, like a nice little army of tulip bulbs. I'm just going to put about 2 or so inches on top, and then we'll label them and put them out in the area where we're going to have them grow on until they have a bulb. I mean, a bloom. Whoops. I have a little bit of extra soil, this Pro Mix soil that was just overflow from the last time I did this project, so I'm just going to use this. Okay, there we go. 2 inches of Pro Mix soil. Oh, medium, soil-less medium. There we go. And this tulip is actually called Monarch. It is an orange parrot tulip. It is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, I usually just put the name of the tulip on here and the date that I planted the bulbs. I used to put the number of bulbs in the crate that I planted, but I don't do that anymore. Anyway, so the next thing I'll do is just put this out in the area where I'm going to have them grow on, and then water them in real well. So I think we are going to go to the front porch and talk a little bit about why a a flower farmer, cut flower farmer, would grow tulips in crates. So let's do that right now. Okay, so we made it from the garage to the front porch. It's still a little bit breezy out here, so it might be kind of hard to hear me. Sorry. And plus, I've got the. So one of the reasons why a cut flower grower would probably grow anything in a crate instead of just in the dirt is because growing them in crates gives you the ability to completely control the environment, the growing situation. You can control the soil, you can control the temperature and the light, not completely, but pretty much completely. It's like, so for instance, these tulips, I did not put them into the soil until just today. And so in about 40, 45, 46 days or so, we should have blooms. If they are growing too slow, I can put them out in the sun, or I can even take them in the house and put them under lights and kind of speed them up a little bit. If they're growing too fast, I can pull them out of the sun or out of the light and put them in the dark so that they slow down. Timing is everything. So, for instance, I only have about 100 of the bulbs in that crate. And if I have a need for tulips, about 100 tulips or so, I would like those to go ahead and quickly hurry up and bloom as fast as they can. However, I also have a lot of tulips growing out in the landscape. And so if I don't have a need for 100 tulips in the next, I don't know, 45 days or so, then I can slow those down. Or if I see that I'm going to have a gap in the tulip and our tulip ability to have tulips, then I will speed those up a little bit. Now, I'm not talking about it is still limited. You know, I'm not talking about changing the whole ability to grow tulips in 30 days or 15 days. It doesn't really work like that. I can slow them down and speed them up incrementally. It still takes acts of God to really grow tulips or anything for that matter. I've tried putting different flowers in crates for different reasons, and a lot of different flowers are able to be grown in crates. It really does work well. Not everything, of course. Lilies, I grow lilies in crates. I've grown ranunculus in crates. I've grown anemones in crates, and those work really well. Um, but not everything. Like I tried to grow some sunflowers in crates, and that did not go well. And actually, I tried to grow um, um, dahlias in crates, and that did not go well at all either. So everything has its limit, and there's some things that do great in crates and some things that don't. So what else? I guess that's it. I really did focus on the cut flower aspect of growing tulips in crates. Did not talk too much about the actual need of tulips. Like tulips grow at a certain zone. You can grow tulips anywhere as long as you have enough cooling months and days and weeks, like we talked about. So okay. I'm not sure about this not editing part of YouTube. Of the video. I don't know how this is going to work. I'm going to put everything in, including the times when I drop the camera. I might edit. I mean, I dropped the camera so many times. I might edit some of those out and just go ahead and put them as bloopers at the end. I don't know. We'll see. But I am trying to get more proficient, and I guess this is part of it. So. I don't know if I'm going to do this again. We'll have to wait and see what the final product is. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.